denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. Our oppressed. We are exploited. We are
Good afternoon, and welcome to Simmering Soul, a show about soul-stirring conversation, culture, and cooking. My name is Dr. Georgie Greer, and I'm the Executive Director of Eastville Community Historical Society. And today I have with me, of course, the illustrious Chef Cheryl here with us, and she's going to be doing our food demonstration. And today, what are we having, Chef?
Today we're going to be doing a buttermilk fried chicken, we're going to be doing a baked mac and cheese, and a southern fried cabbage, all in essence and remembrance of, what is this? Black History Month.
Yes, of course. A Black History special.
Yes, so the special presentation, we're just going to go through some staple dishes, and bring them home. For those that don't know, we're going to start from scratch. So you guys can follow along, rewind, and get it together for your family,
Yeah, and so we have some very special guests with us today in the studio. We have Harriet Simons, and we also have artist Michael A. Butler. So,
Smile, guys.
I love you.
Glad to have you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, are you ready to get going?
Let's dig in. We're going to start with frying some chicken. But before we can fry, we need to season. I can't explain enough how important it is to season your chicken. If you cannot see it, it is not seasoned. So don't be afraid. We're going to start with a 3-pound bird here that I have cut up into pieces. You want to stay around the 3-4 pound mark, and that is so everything fries evenly. So to that, I'm going to add some hot sauce.
Okay. And is that Frank's?
I
I
mean,
don't want to give a shout out to no one. I'm just
and that's what I'm saying. I don't think
we're not
anyone's
going to give a
paying
shout out
us
to any brand,
for,
but there's some hot sauces that are superior to your others. So we won't
it's
say
a
that.
version. It's a version. If they want to cut us a check, they can get on here.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm gonna add in some half and half. Now, once the half and half mixes in with the hot sauce, which has vinegar, we will ultimately make buttermilk. Okay, so we have that, and then to that we're going to add a little bit of pepper.
Ooh.
Just a little bit of pepper. We have some garlic.
It's smelling
some
so great in here
onion.
already. It smells great.
And some Lowry's.
Lowry's?
You're gonna shout that out
Whoa.
because you can't have fried chicken without Lowry's.
I.e. seasoning salt.
There you go. And then there's just a little bit of all-purpose seasoning. Don't be afraid.
As if you can't see it.
It's not seasoned. Now, here I have a custom blend of spices. I can't say what's in it, but a bunch of love. This is gonna add a little zest to our dish. And maybe later on I'll let you know what's inside of it.
Yeah, that's the secret
That's the
seasoning.
secret
That's the
seasoning.
secret.
Soon to be available in stores. But I'm just gonna mix this around. I'm gonna mix this around and we're gonna set this to the side. It should only take about 15 minutes. But in the meantime, we're gonna get into why fried chicken is so important to us. And I think that's where our historian comes in.
Yes, well, it's so important when I think about fried chicken. I think about the many times that you would have it. Fried chicken was so important because it was also a dish that was on the go. When you think about the Great Migration, they had to travel and they couldn't always stop for food because it wasn't safe along the roadways. So a lot of times they would pre-fry that fried chicken and it would be very good the next day cold. That was actually a great way to eat it. So they would put it in a paper bag and then we would travel along the way and have that cold chicken, which was great along the way. Also, if you think about in terms of the Black church, which is really a very important institution for African Americans, they raised a lot of money off of fried chicken dinners, and so that is a tradition that continues today. So fried chicken is something that is really a regular staple, and everyone loves fried chicken. Who doesn't love fried chicken?
Yes.
And then we can show you alternatives at a different time when we think about the vegetarians and vegans. Chef also fries mushrooms, and they taste
Oyster
wonderful,
mushrooms.
wonderful.
Yeah, so fried chicken can definitely be converted into anything for any diet. You know, some people want to fry tofu, some people want to fry mushrooms, some people want to fry zucchini. There's always a version of a fried item in every cuisine, and this just happens to be ours.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And you know, let's talk about eggs right now because what's going on with the birds? You know, Mike, how is it treating you like when you're out in the supermarket?
I was stunned. I said, never again.
Never again.
I'm egg free.
Egg free. It's so crazy how just one little item stirs the country, you know? But you know, we make it work. We make it work.
Yes, yes.
All right. So, of course, with fried chicken, you gotta have some sides. One of our staple sides that a lot of us African Americans love, as well as everyone else, because they consider it an American item also, you know, is a really good gooey macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of Southern folk bake their macaroni and cheese with eggs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's more of a pie situation. Today we're going to do a roux-based mac and cheese that can be served creamy, or you can throw it in the oven.
For a little,
All right.
a little crunch, right?
A little crunch, you know, you want a little texture, you know, when it comes to your mac and cheese. You don't want everything to be one note.
Yes, yes.
You know, we love it here. A little crunch, a little razzle dazzle.
Yes. Well, you know, I think about when you said about, like, you know, it's particularly for African Americans. I think it's so important to understand that our food widely dominates the American culture because, you know, again, this is something that we were doing. If you think about one of the chef, Tweety, he always talks about how we blackified the diet of America. You know, like who else would think about putting cloves, cherries, pineapples on ham. So it's
Very
the same
true.
thing with this dish. You know, we know that historically, you know, that chefs would make this, and it was something that, you know, was a staple for us. So many of the foods that we have is now the American staple.
Yes.
But for us, we say soul food, right? And soul food is important. People say, well, what is soul food? Do you have a recipe? She didn't use a spoon. Chef didn't use a spoon to sprinkle it out. That's what soul food is. It's coming from the heart.
Yeah.
You know, you're cooking from the heart, and sometimes there's no recipes. You just had to learn. It was something that was passed down.
It's true. And they'll say, keep going until your ancestors tell you to stop.
That's right. And then I also think about, like, when we say soul food, like, it's so important because I remember my ancestors telling me when they're cooking, they're putting in the prayers, they're putting in the love, you know. And have you ever had an angry cup of coffee? Like, I am so upset. And I don't want to pick on a particular generation, but you can tell there was no love in that cup, and you can taste it. It tastes flat, disgusting. And the same thing with food. You can't have angry food. You know, you go to a place and they're like, what do you want? No, and that's what soul food is. Every inch of it is the love. And I think capturing that feeling in the soul food, you taste it. You taste the prayers, you taste the wishes and the future that they wanted for you. And that's why it's soul food, because it's coming from the soul to hopefully meet yours.
Yes.
Or give you a sense of being home.
Very true. So you want it to be a hug. I always say soul food is a hug.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't let everybody cook your food.
That's right.
You know, we're very, very specific on who we let feed us.
Yes.
You know, because you don't want it to be coming from a place that's not with love and joy, and someone that loves what they do. You can always taste when somebody loves what they do. You know?
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? We're gonna start our roux here. So I have some butter melting up. I just threw in about 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to add a little flour. Now, for those that don't know what a roux is, it's equal parts flour and fat. So it could be oil. It could be anything really, lard, bacon grease. If you want to get a little fancy, you want a little razzle dazzle.
Or if you want to take it back, that lard, I remember those cans of that lard.
Lard.
You don't see that. You don't see that often.
Listen, nowadays, we're so worried about our health, so we got to make things, you know, a little lighter.
Yeah. All these different, you know, fats. I'm hearing ghee.
Yes.
I'm hearing tallow. You know, stuff like avocado oil. You know, but traditionally, the fat, the pork, the butter is
Yeah,
always a part of
But
it.
I do want to say we want to stay away from margarine.
Yes. Oh,
Margarine
no.
is one molecule away from plastic.
Yes.
So I encourage anyone, butter is best. And it's not just because of flavor, it just feels through your arteries way better. It doesn't block them. And of course, everything in moderation. All fat is not bad fat. Okay? I always have to say that because I give my people, they're like, oh, margarine. I'm like, oh, margarine is oil that's solidified, you know? And I get that a lot in my classes. Like, what do you mean? But no, butter is better, and it's for more than one reason. So I'm just stirring this all together. We're gonna melt everything down. While that goes, Harry, can you please hand me that
Oh.
macaroni? Thank you very much. And look, I'm gonna do a little something. We can put a little Lowry's
Season
in
the
the
water.
water.
You gotta season the water.
Okay.
Gotta season that
Now
water.
this is about a pound of pasta. We're gonna use about 3/4 of this.
Yep.
You can use any pasta you like, but traditionally it's macaroni for us.
Yes.
Elbows.
Elbows. They have to be elbows.
It has to be the elbow macaroni.
And now you know certain time of year when we doing all our holiday cooking, you have to get to the supermarket quick because all of the
it.
elbows will be gone.
It's true.
That's like you got to get to the elbows and you
It's
got to
so
get to a
true.
very specific cheese.
Yes.
Yeah, we won't give any names like you said, but but yeah, you got to get there. We need the elbows.
They are pivotal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're melting down the roux. We don't want any color on this. This is not a gumbo.
Okay.
So we're gonna call this a blonde roux. This is called a blonde roux. And to this roux, we're gonna start seasoning. Okay, so we're gonna go in with our garlic powder. And of course, we're gonna sprinkle and season till our ancestors tell us to stop.
Yes.
So here we go. We got onion powder, a little black pepper. Okay, and I'm gonna come in
Okay.
some of that Lowry's. And for those that don't know, a little bit of this hot sauce.
Hot sauce always makes it right.
Just a touch, and that gives it color too. Some people like to add paprika. I'd rather just go with the hot sauce. And I have mustard here.
Oh, mustard! Wow.
Now, this is Dijon.
Mmm.
It's gonna give us a little bite
Yes.
and round out the flavors. I'll put that back over there. And I'm just gonna whisk.
Whisk. All that good seasoning and flavor going in there.
Yes.
You're gonna taste it and every kernel of the elbows is gonna be just lovely.
And now I have here some half and half.
Some more half and half.
And we're just gonna whisk this in, and it's gonna thicken up and give us what's called a bechamel sauce.
So now on the noodles, we always have this conversation, al dente or
Al dente.
al dente or whatever it is. You don't want to overcook them. You gotta be
don't
very
want to
careful.
overcook the noodles.
So 8 minutes, right?
Not even. We're
Not
gonna do
even?
like 5.
Okay, 5 minutes.
We're gonna
Because they
do
are
about
gonna bake in
5.
the oven again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? Once it gets up to this roaring boil, just turn it off,
Mhm.
and you're fine. Okay. So while this comes up, we can get into what cheeses we have today.
Okay.
So we have a sharp cheddar and we have a Colby Jack
Yes.
mix. Now you can use whatever type of cheese you want, but this is more of the traditional line.
Mhm.
So we're not gonna throw in Goudas and all of, because they didn't have that. We had to make it work with what was common, and these were common. Okay, so we're
Yes.
waiting for this to come up.
And then some people get fancy these days, some people put in that, which is my favorite, the cheese with the spices in it. Pepper jack
Yes,
cheese.
pepper
but
jack
I'm like,
is
sometimes
good.
you just want traditional, and this is traditional.
Yeah, but it's still seasoned. It's good, and the classics never go out of style.
That's
so
right.
if you don't have it, you're fine. Or you can be fancy. You want to throw some truffle salt in here, throw in some breadcrumbs.
Oh, yes.
Some people want to throw some lobster and shrimp, and we definitely transformed macaroni and cheese.
Yes, and there's so many variations. People say, what's the best one, Some people really enjoy the one in the box,
Listen.
especially the younger children. They really enjoy that, so there's so many different versions, but what is the right version?
The classic
The
one.
classic, but also, when we talked about that soul food, what brings you comfort, When it goes to your tummy and you just this warm feeling, that's the right version.
It's true. Anything. And then if it has a cheese pull, that's a bonus.
Yes.
So we're just waiting for this to come up. Now, the secret to not breaking your roux or breaking your cheese is to add it in while it's off the heat. You don't want to cook anything that's fat, water, together, because a high temperature will break the molecules apart, and that's when you start to get clumpy cheese or oil on top. You know what I'm saying? So high heat is not always the best, even though we love it because it gets it done quicker.
Yes.
But we want to bring it to the side and let all our cheeses melt in. Our elbows about 2 more minutes.
So
And, this stuff is pretty fast. A lot of people think that soul food takes all day. And in some cases, it does. And that's if you're starting with hog mugs and fat back and neck bones and all the pork. But when you kind of lighten it up, it takes no time. We're doing this from start to finish in less than an hour.
yes.
So feel free and don't feel so overwhelmed that you can't get your meal done, So,
And I think key to that too, Chef, is that everything is, put out. You have everything ready to go. So the prep work makes it a lot easier to actually keep it moving. Yeah.
When you plan correctly, you get it done. We call this mise en place in the culinary world.
Yes.
So this is all mise en place. We took care of it, everything in its place. And as you can see, we are running so smooth over here. I am proud of us. So we're going to pull this to the side. As you can see, you guys, we got this nice and thick and creamy.
Oh, yes. It looks really good.
It's coming together.
And it smells so wonderful.
There you
my
go.
goodness.
So you're smelling all the seasonings. You're smelling the hot sauce. You're smelling the mustard.
Yes, and it's thick. It's thick. It's thick, so it's gonna soak in those noodles.
I'm gonna pull this to the side, in there, and we're gonna add about half of our cheeses.
Okay.
And we're gonna save some for the top.
Okay.
Because we need some for that.
Yes, that's always a good thing.
Pull this to the side, and then another thing I say is you don't want this so cheesy that it doesn't go through your pasta. You want to just have a nice balance
so that the cheese gets in the crooks and
exactly, because some people put so much cheese it looks like and I'm like, it has nowhere to go.
Like you said,
when you see.
But it's also like a cake. There's some that's so thick,
Yeah.
like it's like a piece of cake.
Excuse me. So I'm gonna add some more. This is a little more half and half just to loosen us up some. Because what I'm talking about is happening. You see now this can't go through a noodle. So once you loosen it up some, we're good to go.
So it's almost like it looks like the thickness and consistency of a cake batter.
There you go.
But you see all that stirring she's talking about? This is what we're saying. This is Simmering Soul, a soul conversation and show about cooking.
There you go.
And because that's what you have to do.
Pasta.
We're gonna drain the pasta now, and as we drain the pasta, you want me to keep stirring, Chef?
Please do.
All right.
We're not gonna rinse this pasta. That's another misconception we have. Very good.
I know a little something. I know just a little something.
We gonna put you to work.
Yeah.
You behind here, we gonna put you to work.
Yes.
Now you don't rinse your pasta because we want all that starch to stay on, and the starch is gonna keep our sauce to sticking.
Yes.
Once you rinse that off, that's when you get macaroni and cheese that looks separate. So you see like some cheese on the side and then a noodle.
So I'm noticing a pattern here, Chef. So we put aside our chicken that is seasoned, so it's resting, and all of the seasons are marinating that beautiful chicken. And because the sides are quicker, but the chicken really is a really quick menu. So we set that aside, and I see you have the skillet over there, getting ready to go, and we'll turn that on soon. We don't want to turn on too fast, but when we're ready, we'll turn that on. So we got that nice oil going.
Now hold on, there's a spoon around here somewhere.
All right.
But somebody has to taste this. Before we put it in the oven, this is what I'm gonna say. Taste your food.
That is a good thing, to make sure that you taste it as you go along and see if it needs anything.
Yeah.
So we have 2 testers here.
So before we bake, Miss Harriet, what you think about that seasoning?
I'm gonna have to pass to Michael.
Michael's like, sure, any day.
Only
You
because
think we need anything?
I would say a little more pepper.
Little pepper?
Ooh, he's spicy.
No, let's go.
This spicy needs some pepper.
I'm telling you.
I must say this is very interesting because mac and cheese, as you're preparing it, is absolutely very different from how we prepare it in my section.
How do you
Again-
know? How do you guys prepare?
Again, soul food is, as you said, from the soul,
Mm-hmm.
as your ancestors have taught you and you have learned as they've carried over. I think I'm from a low country area and ours is more of a casserole, baked more.
Yes.
I think they almost call it, like, some places, some people have described it as a macaroni pie.
Yes,
There you
yes,
go.
yes, yes.
So I'm learning that.
Yes. Well, I learned it both ways too, because my family's also from low country, and we definitely didn't do it with the roux. You know, the cheese is cut up. I remember that task as a child,
Right.
cutting up all that
The
cheese,
cheese.
right? And now we got graters. Like, why did y'all make us cut up all this cheese? But I guess that was a part of the love that was going in there.
Very true.
You know, and so now we have easier ways, and this way is definitely, I think, when we think about the Andrew Johnson chef who went to France and studied this culinary. Yeah, say his name again.
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson chef.
Oh, yeah,
his
he
chef-
made mac and
yes,
cheese.
Excuse me, he actually went to France and learned how to make it, and so this is more of that style that he learned from France, where they actually boiled it, they boiled it with water, and so this is more along those lines.
And they had he had lots of butter in that recipe.
Oh,
every
every
layer
Yes.
had butter
Yes.
in that recipe. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, just to say, butter has made it through history. So,
And then again, like you said, it was different, you know, everything was handmade. You had to churn that butter.
very
All the
true.
stuff that we have now today that we have to deal with our food, we didn't have
Over.
to deal with it then. So, you know, it was, you know,
We're gonna top
different. Oh, we're gonna top it off with some more cheese.
That's the love.
Yes, that's the love.
That is the love. This, macaroni and cheese is a luxury. People don't understand
Yes, it is.
that back in the day, having dairy, period,
Mm-hmm.
was a luxury.
Yes.
So this is our little luxury that we could have that fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
These are our luxuries.
And a dish like this just transports you back to your childhood, back to your upbringing.
Mhm.
And it's just that wholesome, wonderful, you know, taste of comfort.
All
Just
right,
a spoonful
I'm
of
gonna throw
love.
this in a hot oven at 350 degrees,
Okay.
right in the middle rack, and we'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Yes.
All right. So, of course, there's gonna be a green. We have to have a vegetable.
Okay.
Even though we would love just to have chicken and macaroni and cheese, you know, our parents are very big on greens.
Yes.
And the normal green that I think of with soul food is collard.
Collard greens. Yeah.
You know, but we all know loving collards, that's a 3-hour dish.
Yeah. 3 hours.
And it's 4 if you put in the cleaning, the cutting,
Oh no.
the washing,
Yes,
the
yes.
draining, making the
Yes.
pot liquor.
Mhm.
So today we're gonna do a little shortcut green. We're gonna do some fried
Well, can
cabbage.
I tell you, I have recently, I got a pressure cooker for Christmas one year.
Yes.
And I didn't use it for that whole year. And then finally I was running late on dinner. I decided to use that pressure cooker. Let me tell you, it cooked those greens in 22 minutes.
Listen,
So that's another thing. But yes, traditionally we have the greens, you know, and that's just another soulful dish, but also more and more that they study the benefits and the health from it. The
yes.
vitamin K, everything that you need is in that collard green.
Iron,
Iron.
and then you go back to the pot liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
that's
was
everything
where the
is.
healing properties
Oh
were.
yes.
You know, with the vinegar and between the meat, the vinegar, and the amino acids and the collagen, it really strengthened your bones. It really helped with your hair. It
Yes.
helped with your skin.
Yes.
These are all things that we learn now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because back then we never looked our age.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I sure can ask Michael and Harriet. I know you don't look your age, so
Never look
I look
our
my age.
age.
So we're not claiming that part.
Okay?
We stayed on the other side of the road with that one. But yeah, I definitely think that, you know, that's still good for us. Even like the properties of watermelon. So all of this food is traditional food that we ate. And it had those healing properties. And everybody didn't eat meat at every single meal. You know, that was
Right.
another thing growing up. That wasn't something that's done. And Harriet said earlier that we're kind of breaking our tradition because on Friday we have fish. You know, so all of these different traditions that we have, but that's one thing that we've carried through generations, and that's a wonderful thing. And so if we
Yeah.
can share this little bit of love with you, please try it. Try some of these dishes. I'm sure you have, but I hope you're making them and not just always going out and getting them.
Very true.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to go out for soul food.
yeah. Everybody wants to go out because all of the work that goes into
Yes.
actually making it. You know, what's
It's
easier?
true. Hold on. We gotta reset this stove.
So, Chef, do you want me to do anything, or you want our audience to maybe come up and
You
chop
wanna
something?
chop some cabbage?
Yeah.
You need some hands.
Well, do y'all know how you shred it? You shred it, right?
Well, it's just a thin slice because we're
Okay.
gonna stir fry it
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be like 5 minutes. And this cabbage is not gonna have any meat in it.
Okay.
You know, normally it would be a pork product of some sort, so the bacon
Mm-hmm.
or what else is in there? A bacon, a fat back. We need something in there to bring it some
Yeah, that's that
some
old school.
But no, today we're gonna keep it light.
Yeah, and I remember that old school. You know, they also used to throw in a potato of some sort in there.
Yeah,
Just throw in a potato.
that's
Remember those-
true.
Yeah, remember those church outings and they have a little potato?
I think they were trying to stretch it.
Yeah, they're trying to stretch it. Harry
That's
said they
true
were trying to
too.
stretch it with
Potatoes.
potato.
Yeah.
Throw
Yeah.
a potato, put it on some rice.
So again, do you want us that we can have our guests come up over right
Sure.
over here and they can chop a carrot or something? Let's
We
put
can
them to
do,
work. Let's get their
Oh.
hands into it.
Well, if you guys want to come behind, I think you'll block if you do that way. So here, we got a chopping board.
Oh, yes.
We got our cutting board. You can just cut off the ends and coin them. And while that's going, we can get back to putting our cast iron on. It's gonna take a little second to heat up. And we all know how important cast iron is to fried chicken.
Yes. Well, why is it so important? I know that one of the things that we talk about is the fact that these cast iron pots actually had iron and they were good for you. Right?
Well, they do have iron.
Okay.
And for anyone that has anemia or any type of blood disorder, oh, that's perfect. Cast iron would be a great, you can even say supplement to your diet because essentially it rubs off into your food and you get a safe level of iron added in, you know? And then this is not man-made as a iron pill would be,
Yeah.
or have, you know, like preservatives in it. This is like one of the most natural ways to get iron besides your greens and your meats.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I have a burning question because this is always up for a conversation about the cleaning of the cast iron.
May I
Chef.
have the oil, please? Okay, now you clean your cast iron, you don't wash your cast iron. Now, by cleaning, I mean drain, wipe out, put to the side.
That's it.
Wash, soap, no. You want to keep your cast iron nice and seasoned. The longer you use it, the more you use it, that's where that seasoning comes. And the moment you put soap in it, it clears all your seasoning away. And then essentially after a while of using it, it becomes nonstick without anything in it. So, you know, the longer you have it, the older the better. So go ahead and grab your grandmother's cast iron.
Oh, and that's a big
Yes,
thing.
yes,
Yeah, everybody's
ahead.
agreeing with that.
Go ahead.
Everybody's agreeing with the fact that, you know, a big thing was who is going to get the pot? Who are the pots going to be left to?
Yes.
You know, who's the responsible party to take care of the pots? And you also want to make sure it was somebody who can cook.
Very
Yeah.
true. and put it to use.
Yeah. And not questioning, like, who brought the potato salad?
Yes.
Who fried the chicken? You know, that's the first question you get in when they come in. They say, everybody, look, who made this, you know? So those elements, you don't want to get a bad reputation earlier on in cooking because if you do that,
It's
done.
you know, you got one time. We are not the most forgiving
yes.
when it comes to our food.
That's right. You got one time. One time.
You get one good time.
And the biggest thing too, though, is how the food actually looks. Like,
Yes.
you plate the food. We want to make sure the food is attractive.
Yes.
You know, if you look at all the colors that you have here, the yellows, the greens, you know, the orange, it just pops. It just looks like, you know, a wonderful bouquet of food that you're going to put in your mouth. So that's really important.
Yes, because you know it's important to eat the rainbow. It's very important to eat the rainbow. And that's some things that we want to reiterate, especially nowadays. Back in the day, we couldn't. We kind of had to have what was available to us. But now it's like we can do so much better.
Yeah.
So we encourage everyone to do so much better. And please eat the rainbow.
Eat the
your
rainbow.
vegetables. God put them here for
And that
us.
includes beets too.
Yes,
But not
it does.
from, but not from the can.
Definitely not.
Not from the can. We
Don't
want
be
from-
scared.
Yeah, we don't want from the can.
Don't be scared.
Yes.
A lot of people are scared of vegetables, and if you cook it right, it's
gonna
delicious.
taste right. And you cook it with that love.
There you go.
Now, Michael, what are some of your fondest memories of food? Like, if you had a go-to dish, it could be many or one. What is your go-to dish?
Nowadays or from childhood?
Both.
I don't know. Nowadays, I like a good healthy salad, like you're saying.
Yes.
Well balanced with the colors in it and everything.
Mhm.
And if I splurge, I'll put a boiled egg in there.
Mm.
And but it's the reds, it's the chopped up pepper. I may put some apple in there. Just
Ooh,
to,
that sounds good.
yeah, I like a little sweet in there too.
You. It sounds like you're doing a combination of two. With the egg, they usually do Cobb salad, right?
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And with the apple, they usually do what's
Waldorf.
that?
Waldorf.
So you
Yeah.
like a combination?
Yeah, combination.
That's really, that's really good.
Yeah.
What about you, Harriet?
Seafood.
I know
I'm
that's from the Low Country. That's
I'm
the
from what
day.
they call the Low Country of South Carolina, and seafood.
Yeah.
I mean, just about anything. Shrimp, fish,
Mm-hmm.
crab. I'm a seafood
Yeah.
person. So I remember red rice and
Oh,
seafood.
And red rice is
And
so
red rice is-
important. It's so important, and it traces right back,
Back
to Africa.
West
Yeah, a
Coast.
lot of the food that we eat, whether it's okra, we eat a lot of okra. All of that food traces back to, Africa, and it made it over during the transatlantic slave trade. Even my hair, the fact that we braided in crops in our hair so that it could make it could survive. That's why we had many seeds. We
Rice
had rice, we had black-eyed peas, we had okra seeds. And many of the enslaved persons, that's what they did. They actually brought over some seeds with them that survived. And so it's important. This is a part of our culture. How do we eat? We don't know what we're facing on the other side. So some of those recipes came with us. And so, I think about, like you said, Harriet, what we grew up eating, especially how in our migrations around the world and around this country, we still bring those recipes with us.
Yeah.
So now we got another question. We have the onion simmering here,
Yeah.
and there's also two ways I learned how to make cabbage from my aunt from North Carolina. Some people put water, and she says no.
No.
Cabbage makes its own water, and so you don't have to put water to start off your cabbage, and you'll see that here. So I love this technique. This is a technique that I do also.
Yeah, and sometimes the water makes it soggy.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've gotten in the habit of overcooking our vegetables a lot.
Yes.
And when you fry it, you're essentially stir frying. And this goes way faster than boiling out all the nutrients and then essentially making mush,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it's easier, you can add water if you need to, get a little softer. But once you boil it, it's kind of done.
Well, look at this fancy chopping technique.
Yeah.
Truly a truly trained chef, showing off with these fancy chopping skills. And we'll give you a hand because you made the coins carrots. So
Yeah.
cut the cabbage, thank you, carrot. Michael.
Yeah, let's season.
They
Okay,
can smell
it's
it
seasoning
out
time.
No,
So,
that's
of course,
it.
we're gonna go in with our Lowry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our version of salt here today.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And I'm gonna put in some garlic powder,
Yep.
garlic powder,
Garlic
some
powder.
onion,
Okay. Some onion.
Smelling good over
Really?
here.
and you're gonna keep seasoning. Of course, some pepper, a little pepper.
And whatever chef did, are your eyes tearing up? Mine are not tearing up.
No,
You
they're
did
not.
the
You
onion
cut
like
the
that.
core last.
Okay, you heard that? What's the
Cut
trick,
the
chef?
core last.
Cut the core last.
Okay, and then this is just some sugar. Now
Oh,
I
okay.
like to caramelize our onions
Mm-hmm.
and our carrots beforehand, and then we finish off with the greens.
Okay.
So we don't have to overcook them.
So we have seasoning salt, Lowry's, we have onion, and garlic, pepper, and a little bit of sugar.
Just a little bit.
Oh, look at that flip. That was
We're
awesome,
gonna
chef.
give you a little golden brown situation here. Miss
Mhm.
Harry, can you please check that macaroni?
Oh, yeah. You want it golden brown, right?
All right, we're gonna keep it. You want it brown like me?
All
Fat.
right.
Give it a little color. All right, we're gonna let this sit.
Okay.
And we're gonna come on over here to our cast iron. I feel the heat. Now this is the only drawback with cast iron. Takes a little second to get hot, but once it does, it holds temperature like no other. So I'm just gonna let this here. I feel a little
I
bit,
felt a little bit of heat too.
but I'm gonna give you guys the trick. There's a little trick
Alrighty.
to know if your oil is ready.
Mm-hmm.
We just gonna put a little splash of water.
Oh, no, that's not it.
Oh,
Yeah. And then you gotta
Not
watch
ready
it.
yet.
not ready.
Not ready yet.
So once if it instantly bubbles, see we almost there.
Yeah.
Instantly bubbles, then your oil is ready to go.
Okay.
And that's just a drop. Please don't start a fire.
There's a little drop.
Not
you
a
see
cup.
the bubbles.
Just a little drop.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So our coins are coming in. We're good. The color's coming down.
Yes.
We're gonna be okay. Now,
Smells very good.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can eat that without the cabbage.
Cabbage.
yeah,
Yeah.
really, this is a good base for anything though. You can put some potatoes in there. You can get some cooked rice and throw that in there. This is a good base for any type of meal. Especially if you're vegetarian, vegan, you can go right in with that. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
nice.
And so many dishes start off with that, you know?
Yeah,
How
you
many?
can watch that for
All
me.
right, I'll watch this.
And I'm gonna come over here and we're gonna start breading up some chicken.
All right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start breading up some chicken. Now I just have some regular AP flour in here.
Okay.
And we have regular AP flour. And I have our chicken from earlier. Can we get a shot of that chicken? Because it looks so good.
Yeah, let's get a
Now
shot
look
of that,
at
how it
this.
looks. It looks nice and seasoned.
And it got thick. Now we said that the half and half, here we go.
Yeah.
We said that the half and half was going to coagulate and come and be thick. Now, it has been. So it went from runny to this consistency here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's nice and thick. It's adhering to our chicken. And because of all the seasonings in here, we don't need to add anything to this flour, okay? I know some people like to over season, and it is possible. But once you got the flesh going, the coating is fine. The coating will follow.
'Cause you want to taste the chicken
You
too,
wanna
you know?
taste
You
the
want to taste the
chicken.
chicken.
Not salt,
Yes.
you know? We want to enjoy our chicken and keep our blood pressure where it's at.
That's right. And you know, I thought about that earlier when you talked about the salt. Most families, and I know my mom particularly, never cooked with salt.
Yeah.
And if you think about also one of the things that disproportionately African Americans do have higher blood pressure because of the transatlantic slave trade. Coming through the Atlantic and overcoming that salt water
Yeah.
was a big thing. And there's studies that talk about how disproportionately African Americans have this natural high blood pressure. You know?
All right, now we're good. We got some color.
Okay.
We got some color. I'm gonna turn this down, and we can start throwing in some of that cabbage.
Okay. You gonna come over here, Harry, and throw in some of the cabbage? Oh, get involved? Okay.
I'm just dousing this chicken in flour. That's it. There we go. Little by little,
Little by
it'll
little.
cook down, and it'll make more room. All right, I'm going to cook our semi-bigger pieces first. I'm gonna put them in first. So chicken with any type of bone. So I'm gonna throw these legs in. We're gonna dredge, shake, and throw that on in there. There we go, perfect. Now we got our coming up. Perfect. It just instantly started bubbling. So we know our oil is on its way.
Looks like it's taking a nice bath.
And some fresh oil. And you know you can use your oil again now. So you gotta throw it out.
Oh, I remember
Don't
growing
waste
up.
oil.
Remember growing up seeing those cans
Cans
of
all the
oil?
time.
Yeah, I remember.
And then they made sure they didn't have mixed the fish grease with that grease.
Right,
Oh,
right.
boy.
The chicken grease.
Ooh, the chicken smelling like
Hands
chicken like
are
this.
right. I remember that.
See, childhood memories that you don't see
That
anymore.
along there. Right.
The lard can, the oil can.
Very good. That looks really good, guys. Y'all
It does.
getting that together.
Yeah, I'm getting all of that pot liquor or whatever, the
The caramelized onions.
Onions,
Yes,
Right.
yes, stir from the
color.
bottom, that's a big tip,
Yep.
always stir from the bottom,
Yes, you can tell I've been in the kitchen. I
yes,
know a little something
Just a few
here.
times, right?
Yeah.
just a couple.
Yes, a couple. I was in there picking peas, snapping peas, cleaning the collards,
Nice.
Oh, that-
washing the beans. So I remember those memories and those traditions because a lot of the times you think about, the food that you grow up with. Most of the times you don't eat it. It's for a special occasion.
Right.
But you got to know how to cook it. So passing it down to the next generation is important. I think also when we think about that, passing that food down to the next generation, not just eating it, I try to introduce teaching the next generation. It's an art to cutting collard greens,
Yes.
That's not easy. You gotta roll them, you gotta wash them, you gotta roll them.
And everybody
You gotta
wants
soak them.
they want to know, did you wash these greens?
Did you clean the chicken?
Yeah. That's
Yeah, let's talk about that controversy.
Yeah, there's so
Aunties
many
would ask
controversies
if they
with our food.
Cleaning the chicken, now, so do you or do you not?
Especially if you were a youngster, they always felt you didn't do it quite right, so they always had to
Yeah.
check. Did you do that?
But I love that about the ancestors that they showed you. They would give you an opportunity to do it on your own. And if you messed up, they say, you know what? You should have left that bird in there just a little bit longer, baby.
Bless your
Just a little
heart.
bit longer. Bless your heart. You should have left it in there a little longer, baby.
Just a little pinch of this would have brought it out.
Uh-huh.
Always done with love, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, because how will we learn if we don't,
That's right.
So I really appreciate and love that about my ancestors. And then with us, each person has a dish. Like my cousin, she still makes that red rice that we were talking about earlier in the traditional way.
Nice.
We got one cousin that does the pulled pork in the traditional way, So we all specialize in our different things. And something else that was also a staple was either cornbread or yeast rolls. Had to be yeast rolls.
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh,
What is
really?
a yeast roll?
Oh,
A
yeah.
little sweet, a little light and fluffy.
Mhm.
Oh.
You douse them in butter.
Yeah,
That's one thing my
also
mother.
and it also took time because you had to let
I was about
the
to
yeast
say.
sit and rise.
Okay.
I remember that being a time-intensive dish.
Yeah,
But so worth it.
yeah, so worth it because when you have those yeast rolls and those biscuits with that molasses, ooh, that was something.
You taste it, right?
Yes, I do.
And then when you think about our dishes too, a lot of it is based in Africa. And so even when you travel to the other diasporas, whether it's Latin America, you'll see some of the similar dishes.
Right.
Even some Moroccan food, you see the same base.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing how food has survived and traveled across the world and kind of connecting us all.
Yeah.
All
All right.
Check the mac and cheese,
Wow.
Hattie?
Ooh, looks good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, you got to come take that out. But I just want to point out that when frying chicken, one of the most important things is to not overcrowd your pan.
Oh, yeah.
All right, because we want it to get nice and crispy. We want to fry the chicken. We don't want to boil the chicken.
Like a Dutch, what do they call it? A Dutch bath, a Dutch
There you
oven
go.
bath. We don't want that.
So you want to make sure there's some good space in between each piece, so that way the oil could come in and solidify that crust, and that way your chicken is not greasy. When you get greasy chicken, you know it's been an overcrowded pan. Okay.
Yeah, you can't rush perfection. And sometimes that's how they get that overcrowded pan because they're rushing,
Yeah. You gotta know how to time that chicken.
Now, what is deep frying?
Deep frying is considered pan frying.
Okay.
Deep frying is just when the protein is submerged
Okay.
in the oil.
Okay.
That is all. Nothing crazy. So it's nothing fancy either. But this gives, I want to say this shows more love because you really got to sit here and watch this fry.
Yeah.
Deep fryers now, you can set it and forget it. It's on 350. You can let it go. This has no thermometer. You got to go by your nose and what your ancestors say.
Yeah. and one thing I'll point out too, you can tell the chef has this oil on at a good temperature because some people you get that popping and they get scared and they're trying to place it in there from afar.
No, but this oil essentially, because it's buttermilk, you want to start it at around 335 to 350 and stay in that range. Buttermilk can make your chicken burn faster because of the proteins in the dairy. So you want to keep it at a nice even temp, and it's okay. Just leave it alone. You know how you got to tell your husband when he has meat on the grill, don't touch it. You
Let
just
it sit.
leave it alone and let it do its thing, you know? So let's take this out the oven.
Okay.
Ooh,
Look at that.
we're looking good over here. I'm just gonna borrow this.
Okay. This is looking good.
It's looking real good. Watch it back.
Okay.
Watch it back. I'm gonna slide this. We're gonna slide it. Woo! I'm excited. I don't make macaroni and cheese often, like at all. I mean, well, you know what it is.
Special occasion, I can
In my restaurant, it's an everyday.
Right,
But in my house,
it's not.
oh,
It's a special
it's a no thank you.
Put that right up there, Chef.
Here we go. In my house, it's I'm tired of looking at it. So, baked to perfection.
It certainly is.
Oh, yes.
See,
Gotta
Miss
get a look
Harriet,
at
you
that.
did a good job watching out. You did a good job watching out for us over there.
I just remembered how it looked when my auntie would bring it out, and that's, that's how it looks.
I'm telling you. Just a little crust. Some people like it
Right,
darker.
just a little. But
It's really up to who's in the kitchen.
Well, one thing I'm gonna do is
Wait a
like,
minute.
what Chef always does is make sure we clean as we go.
Get some more of this off before you, so it's not.
All right.
I remember that too.
Cleaning. I'm gonna flip this chicken.
Okay, it's flip time.
It's flip
Chicken
time.
Oh.
So I'm gonna flip over this. We got these wings here. You see, nice and brown. Got our little drumstick here. We just go slow. We don't want to splash. And these are the marks of the pan. You can tell that darker part is where it was sitting in the pan. So we're flipping. I'm gonna let that go. And in the meantime, we're gonna re-season our cabbage. Yeah, because when you put the cabbage in,
Right.
you know, so we're gonna throw a little more salt in.
It looks good.
A little more salt. That's good. That's how you know it's fried. When it sticks to the bottom, and it gives you that color too.
And
You
you know
know.
what I usually do though? I usually drop some water in there and start sizzling up
Yep,
a little
and we're
bit.
about to put some in
And
there.
spread that little pot liquor around.
That's what we're about to do. Throw some water in so you can scrape that good stuff off the bottom. Ooh, let's go.
Oh man,
Almost there.
almost there.
We're about to plate it up soon.
Okay,
A couple of minutes. We got 2.
all right.
Here we go.
You hear that? It's even a different sound. Chef.
Yes.
Plate this stuff up.
Oh, there we go. That's the look right there.
There you go. You want that brown.
Yeah.
Brown.
There we go.
Brown food.
Pull that up.
Pull that
You want that brown food. Oh, and it looks like it's nice and still has texture still. It's not all mushy.
Yeah.
So we're
Cooked too, like it's cooked there.
perfect. Perfect. Now, if you want it a little softer, just throw a top on. Let it steam to what you like. And it's okay. And I always say it's your food. Don't let nobody judge your food. Okay? Whatever you want, because you bought it, all right?
And at the end of the day, you cannot please everybody.
It's so
That's
true.
just not gonna happen.
Right.
It's so true. Like, listen, I'm cooking with a smile. Come on, enjoy all this love that's coming. I'm just flipping this chicken.
We don't have
There we
any
are.
angry food over here. We have only happy food that has been made with love.
Plenty of
And so you're going to enjoy it. This wonderful mac and cheese here that we made with the roux in a traditional format with not that many seasonings, right?
Yep.
And the trick was a little bit of Dijon mustard.
Just
Just a little bit to give some seasoning. Same seasonings that we use: pepper, onion powder, garlic, seasoning salt and all-purpose seasoning.
Yes,
You use that, that's it. You don't need 50 ingredients,
very true.
you know?
Keep it nice and simple.
And then our fats were butter, and a little bit of oil,
There you
and
go.
that's it.
All right, see, now we're here. We're nice and brown. We're about to take this out.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to take this out. Now we're gonna bring the heat down. We're gonna bring it down.
Okay.
And we're gonna start plating up some food.
Okay.
All right. So while this is still going, Mr. Michael.
Okay.
Oh, yes, if he was brave enough to take
We're gonna get that cheese pull over here and that creaminess.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
We're gonna get that creaminess over here.
Oh, yes.
You wanna throw on a little bit of that cabbage.
Ooh.
You want a little bit of that cabbage. Here, let me take some of this. Let me take this wing out. Wings always come out first. You put this over here.
Let it drain off a little
Let
bit.
it drain off a little bit. Here we go. These are white meats. We're all done, but look at this beautiful color.
Yes, it's amazing.
Cast iron.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do it every time.
Yes.
You're making me think of picnic day.
Yes.
The chicken for picnics.
All right, Mr. Michael.
Okay, Mr. Michael.
Now it's up to you if you want to add some. Here,
Michael.
put it right there. Let's see how we looking.
Now, how is that for under an hour
Yeah.
Southern style soul food?
I'm telling you.
Fried chicken. In here, some fried chicken, cabbage, and macaroni and cheese under an hour.
Now, from our hearts to your table,
That's right.
you join us next time on Simmering Soul, and we're going to continue to simmer this soul over here on the stove.
Yes. And so be looking out for us. This is our Black History Month special. And be looking out for us in the future to come to you. And you can also come and email us at Eastville Community Historical Society. And that address is eastvillechs@gmail.com. And you can also give us a call at 631-725-4711. I am Dr. Georgie Greer, and I'm here with Chef Cheryl.
Chef Cheryl Gregg of Cherished Kitchen and Catering. I am always available for anything, big or small,
That's right.
any type of event from 2 people to 1,000. We have got you covered. Everything fresh and made with love, and we thank you for
And let's
taking time
not
with us.
forget, Chef, that this is also our official Juneteenth chef. So if you
Oh.
were at our Juneteenth celebration last year, she is the lovely chef that provided our food. And so we hope to see you Juneteenth 2025. And so we want to thank our very special guests. Come on over.
Thank you.
Help us come on over. We want
Thank
to
you.
thank
I'm looking
Harriet Simon and also
Thank you.
Michael A. Butler. So we thank them for helping us being our unofficial sous chefs. Do you have anything to say?
It was my honor.
It's my honor. And now
Yeah.
it's time to eat. So
Yes.
as Chef Cheryl has said, from our table to yours, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. This is Simmering Soul, a soul-stirring conversation, culture, and cooking. Have a great day.
Have a great
And remember to eat well.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.